Hello and welcome back to the third and final day of hashtag Lifestyle 2020, our love, peace, and happiness retreat for the year 2020. This is the third annual. I look forward to doing this in person with you, up front and close, like I usually do, like I did the last 2 years. So hopefully next year will be completely epic with all of us together in a physical way so we could be in each other's presence. I love working with you one-on-one. And because I do the next segment, not this segment, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do, the segment is going to be called Another Great Day. So I'm going to speak about some of I get downloads, phrases. It's like one-liners, and I'll take note of them. So I'm going to go through some of the one-liner phrases that I've had. And what we're going to look at is some of the evolutionary messages for each of you by zodiac sign. And but before we go into zodiac signs, we're going to do it for each of you who are present during the live stream. So if you don't have the notifications yet, you will regret it. And if you are having problems getting the YouTube notifications, follow the directions below the video so you could get my personal notifications as I'm sending notifications myself. I've taken it upon myself to do that. And I will add you to my notification list. At this point, I want to share another one of my great finds. I bought this book for $1.99 at the Goodwill. I found it on the shelf and I had to have it. I bought this book December 7th, 2017. And it's really awesome. I listened to the audiobook, but I had to have it. It's called Communion with God. It's written by Neil Donald Walsh, who was the author of Conversations with God and Friendship with God. This book is all channeled information, and it's going to help clear up some confusion. So this is a recommended read for sure. What I wanted to do during this segment today is read the prelude to you, and I will insert any channeled commentary that I receive to insert. But we're going to go ahead and get started. The prelude, here we go. God has spoken to you many times in many ways over many years, but seldom as directly as this. This time I speak to you as you. And that has occurred on only a handful of occasions in the whole of your history. Few humans have had the courage to hear me in this way as themselves, and fewer still have shared with others what they have heard. Those few who have listened and shared have changed the world. Aesop, Confucius, Lao Tzu, Buddha, Muhammad, Moses, and Jesus were among them. So too, Chuang-Tzu, Aristotle, Wang Po, Sahara, Mahavira, Krishnamurti, also Paramahansa Yogananda, Ramana Maharshi, Kabir, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Dalai Lama, and Elizabeth Clinton, as well Sri Aurobindo, Mother Teresa, Meher Baba, Mahatma Gandhi, Khalil Gibran, Baha'u'llah, Ernest Holmes, Sai Baba, including Joan of Arc, Francis of Assisi, Joseph Smith, and more, others not mentioned here. The list could go on. Yet relative to the total number of humans who have inhabited your planet, the number is minuscule. These few have been my messengers, for all have brought forward the truth within their hearts as best as they understood it, as purely as they knew how. And while they have done so through imperfect filters, they have nonetheless brought to your awareness extraordinary wisdom from which the whole human race has benefited. What is amazing is how similar their insights have been, offered at vastly different times and places, separated by legions and centuries. They might just as well have been speaking all at the same time. So tiny have been the variances between them, and so huge the commonalities. Now it is time to expand this list to include others living today as my latest messengers. Pause, give me just a second. Okay. We will speak with one voice unless we do not. You will make that choice even as you have always done. For in each moment of now have you made your decision and announced it in action. At the beginning, your thoughts are mine and mine are yours. For at the beginning, it can be no other way. There is only one source of that which is, and the source of is that which is. All things emanate from that source, then permeate the illness all over. Hold on. Rewind, redo. All things emanate from that source, then permeate the isness all over and reveal themselves as individuations of the whole. The individual interpretations of the one message produce the miracle of oneness in many forms. This oneness in many forms is what you call life. Life is God interpreted, that is, translated into many forms. The first level of translation is from the unified non-physical to the individuated non-physical. The second level of translation is from the individuated non-physical to the individuated physical. The third level of translation is from the individuated physical into the unified physical. The fourth level of translation is from the unified physical into the unified non-physical. Then this cycle of life is complete. The continuing process of the translation of God produces endless variety within God's unity. This variety of the unity is what I have called individuation. It is the individual expression of that which is not separate, but which can be individually expressed. So pause. Basically, we all are channeling Love Source God in our own individual way, but we're all channeling Love Source God from our perspective in the journey. Okay. Play. The purpose of individual expression is for me to experience myself as the whole through the experiencing of my parts. Let me get a drink. I want to read that statement again. The purpose of individual expression is for me, aka Love Source God, to experience myself as the whole through the experiencing of my parts. While the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, I can only experience this by knowing the sum. And that is who you are. You are the sum of God. Many have told you this many times before, and many of you have heard this as the Son of God. That too is correct. I'm going to pause. You are the sum, S-U-M, of God. I have told you this many times before, and many of you have heard this as the Son, S-O-N, of God. That is correct too. You are the sons and daughters of God, yet it does not matter what labels or names you use. It adds up to the same thing. You are the sum, S-U-M, of God. Pause. So every human being makes up the total of what God is. How's that for some truth? So, and what would that do to our reactions and the way we treat others and the way we treat ourselves? Continuing. So too is everything around you. Everything that you see and do not see, all that ever is, all that ever was, and all that ever will be is me. And all that I am now. There is nothing that I have ever been that I have ceased to be. And there's nothing that I will ever be that I am not now. I cannot become anything that I now am not, nor can I fail to be anything I was once. Pause. And so this should bring comfort to those of you who have loved ones who have passed in spirit, that yes, they still exist in spirit. They are just in spirit, but they are still real. And you too will still be real, because you are that what God is, and God never dies. This is as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, the world without end. Amen. I am coming to you now in this day and time as you begin another millennium, so that you may start a new 1,000 years in a new way, knowing me at last, choosing me first, and being me always, ALWAYS, comma, always, ALLWAYS. There is no mistake in the timing. I began these new revelations early in the last decade, continued my conversations with you throughout the last years of the century, and in the final moments of the last millennium, reminded you how you may have a friendship with me. Now, in the first year of the new millennium, I speak to you with one voice, that we may experience communion. Should you choose this experience of communion with God, you will finally know peace and joy unbounded, and love fully expressed, and full freedom. Should you choose this truth, you will change your world. Should you choose this reality, you will create it, and at last fully experience who you really are. It will be the hardest thing you have ever done, and the easiest thing you will ever do. It will be the hardest thing you have ever done, because you will have to deny who you think you are and stop denying me. It will be the easiest thing you will ever do, because there will be nothing that you have to do. All you have to do is be, and all you have to be is me. Even this will not be an act of will, but a simple acknowledgement. It will not require an action, only an admission. I have been seeking this admission forever. When you grant me admission, you let me into your life. You admit that you and I are one. This is your ticket to heaven. It says, admit one. When I gain entrance into your heart, you gain entrance into heaven. And your heaven can be on earth. Everything can truly be on earth as it is in heaven. When the time of separation is over and the time of unification is at hand. Unification with me and unification with all others and with every living thing. This is what I have come to tell you. Once more, through the messengers of today, you will know them as my messengers, because they will all be bringing the same message. We are one. And then I got a side note, and it says Maze. We are one. Frankie Beverly and Maze. Y'all know that's the prescription, right? Oh, yeah. It's a new day, people. This is the only message that matters. It is the only message there is. Everything else in life is a reflection of this message. Everything else sends it. Literally everything else sends it. Anyways, the fact that you have so far failed to receive it, you have heard it often, but you have failed to receive it, is what has caused every misery, every sorrow, every conflict, every heartache in your experience. It has caused every murder, every war, every rape and robbery, every assault and attack, mental, verbal, and physical. It has caused every illness and dis-ease and every encounter with what you call death. The idea that we are not one is an illusion. Most people believe in God. They just don't believe in a God who believes in them. Ouch! Most people believe in God. They just don't believe in a God who believes in them. God does believe in them, and God loves them more than most of them know. The idea that God turned stone silent and stopped talking to the human race a long time ago is false. The idea that God is angry with the human race and kicked it out of paradise is false. The idea that God has set himself up as judge and jury and will be deciding whether members of the human race go to heaven or hell is false. God loves every human being who ever lived, lives now, or will ever live. God's desire is for every soul to return to God, and God cannot fail in having this desire fulfilled. God is separate from nothing, and nothing is separate from God. There is nothing that God needs because God is everything there is. This is the good news. Everything else is an illusion. The human race has been living with illusions for a long time. This is not because the human race is stupid, but because the human race is very smart. Humans have understood intuitively that illusions have a purpose, and a very important one. Most humans have simply forgotten that they know this. They have forgotten that their forgetting is itself part of what they have forgotten, and therefore part of the illusion. Now it is time for humans to remember. You are one of those who will lead the vanguard in this process. Vanguard definition: a group of people leading the way in new developments or ideas, the foremost part of an advancing army or naval force. There is nothing surprising in this, given what has been going on in your life. You have come to this book to remember the illusions of humans, so that you may never again be caught up in them, but achieve communion with God once more in the living of your life through the awareness of ultimate reality. It is perfect that you have done so, and it is obviously not happenstance. You have come here so that you may know experientially that God resides within you, that you may have, whenever you wish, a meeting with the Creator. The Creator may be experienced and found within you and all around you, but you must look past the illusions of humans. You must ignore them. Here are the 10 illusions. Get to know them well so that you will recognize them when you encounter them. 1. Need exists. 2. Failure exists. 3. Disunity exists. 4. Insufficiency exists. 5. Requirement exists. 6. Judgment exists. 7. Condemnation exists. 8. Conditionality exists. 9. Superiority exists. 10. Ignorance exists. The first 5 of these are physical illusions, having to do with life in your physical body. The second 5 are the metaphysical illusions, having to do with non-physical realities. In this communication, each of these illusions will be explored in detail. You will see how each has been created, and you will see how each has affected your life. And before this communication is complete, you will also see how you can undo any effects of these illusions that you wish to undo. Now, the step in the process of any really open communication is that you must be willing to suspend your disbelief about what you are hearing. You will be asked to do that here. Please temporarily give up any previous notions you may have about God and your life and life in general. You may return to your previous ideas at any time. It's not a question of abandoning them forever, but of merely setting them aside for the moment to allow the possibility that there may be something you do not know, the knowing of which could change everything. Examine, for instance, your reaction to the idea that God is communicating with you right now. In your past, you have found all sorts of reasons not to accept that you could have an actual conversation with God. I'm going to ask you to set those thoughts aside and assume that you are receiving this communication directly from me. To make it easier on you, I will speak of myself in the third person through much of this communication. I recognize that it may be a little unnerving for you to hear me using the first person singular. And so while I do it once in a while, just to remind you who is bringing you this information, I will most of the time speak of myself as simply God. While you're receiving a direct communication from the deity may seem improbable to you at first, understand that you have come to this communication to remember at last who you really are and the illusions that you have created. Soon you will deeply understand that you have actually caused this book to come to you. For now, simply hear me when I tell you that in most of the moments of your life, you are living an illusion. The 10 illusions of humans are very big, very powerful illusions that you created during the earliest part of your experience on Earth. And you create hundreds of similar ones every day. Because you believe them, you have created a cultural story that allows you to live these illusions and thus make them real. They are not really real, of course, yet you have created an Alice in Wonderland world in which they seem very real indeed. And like the Mad Hatter, you will deny that what is false and that what is real is real. You have, in fact, been doing this for a very long time. A cultural story is a story that has been handed down from generation to generation across centuries and millennia. It is the story that you tell yourself about yourself. Because your cultural story is based on illusion, it produces myths rather than an understanding of reality. The cultural story of humans is that, 1, God has an agenda. Need exists. The outcome of this life is in doubt. Failure exists. You are separate from God. Disunity exists. There is not enough. Insufficiency exists. There is something you have to do. Requirement exists. The punishment is everlasting damnation. Condemnation exists. Love is therefore conditional. Conditionality exists. Knowing and meeting the conditions renders you superior. Superiority exists. You do not know that these are illusions. Ignorance exists. This cultural story has been so ingrained in you, you now live it fully and completely. This, you tell each other, is just the way it is. You have been telling each other that now for many centuries. Indeed, for millennia after millennia. For so long, in fact, that myths have grown up around these illusions and stories. Some of the most prominent myths have been reduced to concepts such as, thy will be done, survival of the fittest, to the victor go the spoils, you were born in original sin, the wages of sin are death. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. What you don't know won't hurt you. God only knows, and many others. equally destructive, and non-serving. Based on these illusions, stories, and myths, none of which has anything to do with ultimate reality, here is how many humans have come to think about life. And it quotes, "We are born into a hostile world run by a God who has things he wants us to do and things he wants us not to do, and will punish us with everlasting torture if we don't get the two right. Our first experience in life is separation from our mother, the source of our life. This creates the context for our entire reality, which we experience as one separation from the source of all life. We are not only separate from all life, but from everything else in life. Everything that exists separate from us, and we are separate from everything else that exists. We do not want it this way, but this is the way it is. We wish it were otherwise, and indeed, we strive for it to be otherwise. We seek to experience oneness again with all things, and especially with each other. We may not know why exactly, yet it seems almost instinctual. It feels like the natural thing to do. The only problem is, there does not seem to be enough of the other to satisfy us. No matter what the other thing is that we want, we cannot seem to get enough of it. We cannot get enough love. We cannot get enough time. We cannot get enough money. We cannot get enough of whatever it is we think we need in order to be happy and fulfilled. The moment that we think we have enough, we decide that we want more. Since there is not enough of whatever it is we think we need to be happy, we must do stuff to get as much as we can. Things are required of us in exchange for everything. From God's love to the natural bounty of life, simply being alive is not enough. Therefore, we, like all of life, are not enough, because just being isn't sufficient. The competition begins. It's not enough out there. We have to compete for what's there. We have to compete for everything, including God. This competition is tough. It's about our very survival. In this contest, only the fittest survive, and to the victor go the spoils. If we lose, we live in hell on earth. And after we die, if there are losers in the competition for God, we experience hell again, this time forever. Death was actually created by God because our forebears made the wrong choices. Adam and Eve had everlasting life in the Garden of Eden, but then Eve ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and she and Adam were driven from the garden by an angry God. This God sentenced them and all their progeny forevermore to death as a first punishment. Henceforth, life in the body would be limited and no longer everlasting, and so would the stuff of life. Yet God will give us back our everlasting life if we never again break his rules. God's love is unconditional. It is only God's rewards which are not. God loves us even as he condemns us to everlasting damnation. It hurts him more than it hurts us because he really wants us to return home, but he can't do anything about it if we misbehave. The choice is ours. The trick is, therefore, to not misbehave. We need to live a good life. We must strive to do so. In order to do so, we have to know the truth about what God wants and does not want for us. We cannot please God, and we cannot avoid offending him if we do not know right from wrong. So we have to know the truth about that. The truth is simple to understand and easy to know. All we have to do is listen to the prophets, teachers, sages, and the source and founder of our religion. If there's more than one religion and therefore more than one source and founder, then we have to make sure to pick the right one. Picking the wrong one could result in us being a loser. When we pick the right one, we are superior. We are better than our peers because we have found the truth, and the truth is on our side. This state of being better allows us to claim most of the prizes in the contest without actually contesting them. We get to declare ourselves the winner before the competition begins. It is out of this awareness that we give ourselves all the advantages and write our rules of life in such a way that the certain others find it nearly impossible to win the really big prizes. We do not get to do this out of meanness, but simply in order to ensure that victory is ours, as rightly it should be, since it is those of our religion, of our nationality, of our race, of our gender, of our political persuasion who know the truth and therefore deserve to be winners. Because we desire to win, we have a right to threaten others, to fight with them, even to kill them if necessary, in order to produce the result. There may be another way to live, another thing that God has in mind, another larger truth, but if there is, we don't know it. In fact, it is not clear whether we are even supposed to know it. It is possible that we are not supposed to even try to know it, much less to truly know and understand God. To try this is presumptuous, and to declare that you have actually done so is blasphemous. God is the unknown knower, the unmoved mover, the great unseen. Therefore, we cannot know the truth that we are required to know in order to meet the conditions that we are required to meet, in order to receive the love that we are required to receive, in order to avoid the condemnation that we are seeking to avoid, in order to have the everlasting life that we had before any of this started. Our ignorance is unfortunate, but should not be problematic. All we need to do is take what we think we do know, our cultural story, on faith, and proceed accordingly. This we have tried to do, each according to his or her own beliefs, and thus we have produced the life that we are now living, and the reality on earth that we are now creating. End quote. This is how most of the human race has it constructed. So I want to clarify that the whole last portion that I just read is describing the common mentality of mankind, the common beliefs, their common reality that they have accepted as their truth. Continuing on, this is how most of the human race has it constructed. You each have your minor variations, but this is in essence how you live your lives. Justify your choices and rationalize the outcomes. Some of you do not accept all of this, yet all of you accept some of it. And you accept these statements as the operating reality, not because they reflect your innermost wisdom, but because someone else has told you that they were true. At some level, you have had to make yourself believe them. This is called make-believe. Yet now is the time to move away from make-believe and toward what is real. This will not be easy because ultimate reality will differ a great deal from what many people in your world are now agreeing is real. You will literally have to be in this world, but not of it. And what would be the purpose of that if your life is going well? Nothing. There would be no purpose. If you are satisfied with your life and the world as it is, there would be no reason for you to seek to shift your reality and to stop all this make-believe. This message is for those who are not satisfied with their world as it is. We shall now examine the 10 illusions one by one. You will see how each illusion has caused you to create life on your planet as you are now living it. You will notice that each illusion builds on the previous. Many sound very much alike. That is because they are alike. All of the illusions are simply variations on the first illusion. Rewind, repeat. All of the illusions are simply variations on the first illusion. They are grander distortions of the original distortion. You will also notice that each new illusion was created to fix a flaw in the illusion just before. Finally, tired of fixing flaws, you simply decided that you did not understand any of it. Thus, the final illusion, ignorance, exists. This allowed you to shrug your shoulders and quit trying to solve the mystery. But the evolving mind will not allow such a retreat for very long. In just a few short millennia, a very brief time, indeed the history of the universe, you have come to the place where ignorance is no longer bliss. You are about to climb out of primitive culture. You are about to make a quantum leap into your understandings. You are about to see through the 10 illusions. Praise! So, this prelude to the book talks about these ideas. God has an agenda. God has a plan. God says, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. But if need exists is a lie, it's an illusion, then that's not true. As a matter of fact, unconditional love can't be true if God is going to punish us like that. That's not a loving act. There's so much in this book. I really encourage each of you to undertake your own study of it. I'm rereading this book, and I would love to read to you more, but we don't have that many hours right now. So I'm going to skip back to read a few bits here. What bits am I going to read? Okay, we're going to read chapter 20. Very well. We're going to skip towards the back of the book, so y'all got to read the meat in the middle for yourselves, okay? Before I get into the meat, or the second half of our reading, I want to acknowledge everybody that's here. Destiny Rose, Wanda, Jasmine, Kat, I want to thank you for being here. It triggered a little bit. She says this makes me mad. That's crazy. It's true. It's so sad. But you know what? It's okay that you're triggered, because once you've identified you're triggered, you can do something about that, right? And the blessing in it is that once you begin to learn your ultimate reality, oh boy, enjoy the trip, because it is a trip. So I'm going to read the message of the Creator. Just reading. After one experience of meeting the Creator within, you will remember the message of the Creator, because it is the message of your own heart. It is no different from the message that your heart sings every time you look into the eyes of another with love. It is no different from the message that your heart cries out when you see suffering everywhere. This is the message that you bring to the world, and that you would leave with the world when you are your true self. It is the message that I leave with you now, so you may remember it once again and share it with all whose lives you touch. Be kind to each other and good. Be kind to yourself and good as well. Understand that these two are not mutually exclusive. Be generous with each other and share. Be generous with yourself as well. Know that only as you share with yourself can you share with another. For you cannot give to another what you do not have. Be gentle with yourself and true. Be gentle with each other and true. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night, the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Remember always that betrayal of yourself in order not to betray another is betrayal nonetheless. It is the highest betrayal. Remember always that love is freedom. You need no other word to define it. You need no other thought to comprehend it. You need no other action to express it. Your search for the true definition of love is over. Now the only question will be whether you can give this gift of love to yourself and to another, even as I have given it to you. All systems, agreements, decisions, and choices that express freedom express God. For God is freedom, and freedom is love expressed. Remember always that yours is a world of illusion, and nothing you see is real, and that you may use the illusion to bring you a grand experience of the ultimate reality. Indeed, that is what you have come here to do. You are living in a dream of your own creation. Let it be the dream of a lifetime, for that is exactly what it is. Dream of a world in which the God and Goddess in you is never denied, in which you never again deny the God and the Goddess in another. Let your greeting both now and forevermore be Namaste. Dream of a world in which love is the answer to every question, the response to every situation, the experience in every moment. Dream of a world in which life and that which supports life is the highest value, receives the highest honor, and has its highest expression. Dream of a world in which freedom becomes the highest expression of life, in which no one who claims to love another seeks to restrict another, in which all are allowed to express the glory of their being in measure full and true. Dream of a world in which equal opportunity is granted to all, equal resources are available to all, and equal dignity is accorded to all, so that all may experience equally the unequaled wonder of life. Dream of a world in which judgment is never again visited by one upon another, in which conditions are never again laid down before love is offered, and in which fear is never again seen as a means of respect. Dream of a world in which differences do not produce divisions. Individual expression does not produce separation, and the greatness of the whole is reflected in the greatness of its parts. Dream of a world in which there is always enough, in which the simple being and gifts of sharing leads to that awareness and creates it, and in which every action supports it. Dream of a world in which suffering is never again ignored, in which intolerance is never again expressed, and in which hatred is never again experienced by anyone. Dream of a world in which ego is relinquished, in which superiority is abolished, in which ignorance is eliminated from everyone's reality, reduced to the illusion that it is. Dream of a world in which mistakes lead not to shame, regrets lead not to guilt, and judgment leads not to condemnation. Dream of these things and more. Do you choose them? Then dream them into being. With the might of your dreams, in the nightmare of your reality, you can choose this. You can choose the illusion. I have said it to you before through the words of poets and leaders and philosophers. There are those who see things as they are and say, why? And there are those who dream of things that never were and say, why not? What do you say? So in reading this, I heard that the reason I needed to read this book to us for this retreat is because the times we're living in. Cheers. Here's some water to that. Love Source God is real. Many of you will begin to channel in a way that you never knew you could. Some of you have already begun. Many of those who watch this channel are readers, psychics, and other forms of spiritual healers, highly spiritually evolved beings on your own different place in the journey. yet it doesn't negate who and what you are. And somehow you've come to know that you are that what God is. And through each of the readings that we've done over the course of this year's retreat, we have definitely been shown that we are one, that all is one and all is mind and all is divine. And so as we enjoy this awareness, I encourage you to delve deeper, find some wonderful information, powerful books, and these 3 are my recommendations that will help you to grow in self-awareness. There are so many illusions out there. And if they're all built off of the idea that need exists, let us remember that we are healthy, whole, and complete, and that we came here this way, and nothing could change that. Even our own belief that that wasn't true could only create another illusion for us to break through. And now is the time where the veil is being lifted. The lies are being revealed. The programs and filters are being uncreated and destroyed. And as we learned, we are the ones who are radiating, holding and radiating this energy. Yes, we are. So, continue to do the work on yourself, as this is where true wealth is, and you'll always find great reward in it. And I'm going to come back with a part, another great day. And I had a synchronicity shown to me. I needed a belt for my shorts, so I went to the store this morning and bought a belt. Look at the label on the belt. It says, a new day. It is a new day, people. Lustrous God is speaking to us in a whole new, direct way, working with us, and we are working with each other as we are one, because disunity does not exist. These are all ways of confirming. Literally, the 3 books that we have read have confirmed every channel message that we've ever produced, have confirmed all of the readings that we have ever done, and serve to confirm that we are right in line with what we should be doing. And you are right in line with what you should be doing. You're going to learn a lot, and some of it will shock you. Some of it will rock you. Some of it might bring up triggers. But remember that this reality is an illusion. And what is real is you are gods and goddesses. You are what God is. God is expressing itself through you. You can only be that divine energy, and you are always loved and supported. Love's First God is the unconditionally loving parent that supports all the things you do and does their part to be of assistance. So if you take nothing else from this year's retreat, we want you to take with you the knowledge that you can be confident in the way you move your feet. Step confidently in your life. Hold your head up. Believe and know that Love's First God will be there to catch you in every step. Some of you are going to be shaking up the foundations of your families in your growth. Know that Love's First God has them too, even if they don't know it. And that when they're in a challenging place, it's so that they can find out how fucking awesome they are. Because remember, that's the only point of challenges, right? That's why challenges exist. So you can find out who you are in this. And you've become who you are and gotten to this place because each of the challenges that came your way, you chose to face. Maybe you didn't choose to face them all immediately, right away, or in the best way. But you chose to face them nonetheless. Whenever you did, it was perfect. And here you are today. So with all this being said and done, we have come to the end of this portion. And it is about to be 5:30 here in Las Vegas. So I'm looking to go live again in an hour and a half at 7 p.m. Las Vegas time with the last segment, Another Great Day, in which I want you to make sure you're there in the live audience because I'm going to be pulling cards for everybody who puts in the comments their presence so that I know, and you'll get messages. And the messages that I plan to pull, what came to me, another great day. In the Bible, there's a place where it says a day for a year, a day for a year. In other words, the Bible uses illustrations and represents symbolically a day for a year. There's a whole study you can do on that. It's quite complex and deep. So another great year for us. Regardless of what the fuck they got going on there, I claim another great year for us. And you do too, don't you? Yes, you do. I know you do. I know you like that. You claim it. I know you do. So what I want to look at is I have 3 new decks of cards that you ain't seen yet, and we're finna use them. And oh my God, these cards are so awesome. What they're going to do is give us some insight into the work that is available for us to do within ourselves to help us move through another great day. Okay? So make sure you are tuned in, tapped, and turned on. If you want the live notifications, follow the instructions below in the box. And I'll see you in a moment, in just about an hour and a half. Until next time, love you. Laters.